Hello everybody, welcome back to Reaper Minis TV. Before getting into reviews, I wanted to show you some painted figures that are going to hopefully be a little familiar to you. Okay, so here's a look at the two figures that I had to wrap up for my Warlord army. We've got the large demon that I'm using. All that we had to do here is rebase him. But then the Demonic Lasher, we had to complete him from beginning to end, so I'll give you a good look at him. And this figure is on a 50mm base. And then as we get a little closer, you can get a better look at the whole model. And I think he'll do really well in my Warlord army and have lots of applicability in D&D also. So there he is. And then on the large demon, just a look at the front and the back. Nothing too out of the ordinary, just a big evil looking demon with a staff in his hand. Okay, for this next bit right here, you might be wondering why we're looking at what is probably, obviously, very much a Warhammer Fantasy Battle Army, and it is. But I wanted to show you that when I say that I think some Reaper things work perfectly well in other games' armies, in this case Warhammer Fantasy Battle, that I really mean it. And what we've got here is what is probably the final version of my army for the Gen Con 8th edition Warhammer tournament. And you can see you got regular Warhammer guys in there. The Harpies aren't, but they're not Reaper, so we're not going to talk about them right now. But what is Reaper in here is, first off, the Hydra. This is the Hydra from the Reptus army in Warlord, and I love this miniature. I like it so much more than the GW version. I think it works perfectly. Got a couple guys for handlers in the back, but just awesome. And then back here, we've got my Warlord, or actually I should say, I'm sorry, my Dreadlord. He's the general of my army. And that's not a Reaper figure, the guy isn't, but the dragon is. And you can see how much of a centerpiece this really makes in the army. The army is really about the two big monsters. Got the Hydra and the Black Dragon. And I painted this one up sort of as a black dragon, but with a lot of purple in it, because I've got a lot of purple in the rest of the army. You can see in the Blackguard, and even in the Warriors you've got purple, and the Crossbowmen. And I do all my Dark Elves with a blue skin, that's why he's blue skinned. But back to the dragon. You can see black and purple are the predominant colors, and it just really stands out as a centerpiece in the army. Now with the true line of sight rules in 8th edition Fantasy, it's probably going to take some early hits in the game, but it looks very cool. I'm happy to have it in there, and you're going to see more of these things appear in my armies for other games that I'll show you when they're ready to be shown. Okay, let's take a look at some new large blisters of miniatures and crack them open, take a look at what's inside. This first one is Talanka, a female ogre shaman. And after we get in here, you can see she's from the P65 line. Got a nice color card to give you some inspiration for painting. And really, just two pieces here. You've got the Ogre Shaman herself, and then you've got a back piece It's got some large tusks on it, taken off of some kind of woolly mammoth or something. You've got a keg or some kind of container here, some bags and pouches. Looks like the skull of something right there. A little doll made out of a sack or something there. This goes into place right on her back. Fits in pretty well. On the front you can see quite ugly, like she should be. You'll need to clean up some on the bottom here. You can see it's P65, it's even notched down here on the bottom as P65. So, nice big brute of an ogre shaman. I think she'd do good in a Warhammer Fantasy Battle Ogre Kingdoms army as a butcher or as a spellcaster. Obviously in D&D or any other fantasy game. Okay, and the last figure we'll look at this time around is another very large blister. This is a frost worm from the Warlord line for the new faction Icingstead that you'll see in the Savage North book that's about to come out. And we'll bust him open. First we've got our card here of just an artist's rendition from one of Reaper's great painters on how you might want to paint it. And then in the blister, got some foam and a whole bunch of parts. Alright, so let's start off organizing everything. Got lots of grabby bits here. Bottom or base of the figure. Now you'd probably want to have this sitting around so you could assemble everything properly. So what we've got here at the bottom would be the base, and that would be down here. But there's lots of little voids all around the base where you're going to stick in some of these pointy bits that you've got here. These are going to go all around the bottom of the figure. And then pretty easily, I say, and we'll see how easy it is for me to do. Well, gonna need a little bit of work to get, unless I'm putting it in wrong. Entirely possible. Nah, I think it goes that way. So I've got here the middle part of the torso, or the upper part, that's going to connect down here into a square void. Need to shave off a little bit off the inside or on the outside to get everything to fit perfectly there. It's basically going to go like that. That's how he's going to come together. So not at all unlike the picture. Now, these two big crest pieces go on either side of the top part of the neck. So there and there. And then you've got this piece here that sort of goes over his neck, and actually I had it on backwards. It goes like this. And then you've got a good portion of the head that goes right there. And then more of the claw and gribbly bits that are going to go along the spine of the, or the elongated part of the frost worm itself. So you can see a put together version of the miniature over in the corner here, but looks like he'll take several minutes to put together. You probably have to devote a good 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes for cleaning and really good assembly and making sure you have all your joints straight and everything's well in place. One piece I forgot to show you is here. You've got an extra tail bit that's going to go on. Now I would probably put him on a 50mm square base, but I think he'd be fine to use maybe even as a dragon in a Warhammer Fantasy Battle game, or obviously a dragon or any other suitable monster in D&D or other fantasy role-playing games. Alright, thanks everybody for watching this episode of Reaper Minis TV. We'll see you next time.